With the 2023 announcement of the new Marathon came the information that this game would be an extraction shooter, not an arena shooter. The biggest difference being that it will not have a single player campaign. In this video, I want to take a look at what we do know about the game prior to any gameplay reveals and create some educated guesses on what the game might play like based on Bungie's other works. Beyond the absence of a dedicated story mode, I think Marathon 2020X can still carve out its own niche. I too am disappointed that the Marathon franchise will not be getting the Doom 2016/Eternal treatment, but I am still willing to give it a chance. The gameplay of the original trilogy can lend itself to the genre in a few ways that I've not seen many talk about yet. The first of those is the idea of pistol starting levels, which is exactly as it sounds. You play each level starting with only the pistol, and you have to scavenge the battlefield for whatever you can get to defend yourself. This is even directly mentioned in the Vidmaster Challenge by Jason Jones in January of 1995, shown on screen now. This even extends to the game normally, where if you move to the next level, you keep the loot you picked up along the way. Not too dissimilar from the extraction shooter gameplay loops of scavenging the battlefield and escaping alive with what you can. The second main idea that could work in the favor of New Marathon would be terminals and lore delivery. Throughout the development of the Destiny franchise, the teams at Bungie have learned a lot about telling a story through items you find in-game and lore books. I could see the idea of terminals being directly translated into this concept, where you could land in the map somewhere and be tasked with downloading information from a terminal, or upon exfiltrating, you could go read that downloaded information, similar to a Destiny lore book. Now on to gameplay. Bungie has a reputation for best-in-class first-person shooter gameplay, and I don't expect that to change one bit, regardless of all the ups and downs the studio has had recently. Considering this game is most likely built on a fork of the Destiny 2 Tiger engine, which has roots going back to at least 1997, I believe much of that shooter feel that can be found in their games will be present due to the sharing of that engine DNA. I believe one of the aspects of their player controller that builds up the Bungie-ness in their games is the relative rigidity of the weapon sway. I will show some comparisons on screen. In Marathon 1994, there really was not much weapon sway at all, which was very in at the time of release. The next clip is one of Halo Combat Evolved, where weapon sway has been introduced and appears to be in similar amounts to other games from the time. The next clip is from the current build of Destiny 2, where it has been noticeably increased, but is still not a significant amount when compared to the latest Call of Duty game, which I have chosen to represent the latest trends. There's a lot more that goes into the identity of all of their games, and I just wanted to highlight one specific aspect. Not much is known about the general gameplay, but I imagine it will play something like Destiny 2, but without the abilities, and much more focused on gunplay. In the end, only time will tell. Environments have a bit more meat to discuss. As you can see, there was some concept art shown off, and we do actually have some information on the locations we will be running in. These locations range from overgrown locales on the surface of Tau Ceti 4 to flooded underground hallways infested with compilers. During the vidoc, released at the same time as the announcement trailer, there was mention that 2 maps would be playable. It has since been all but confirmed that the locations would be the colony on Tau Ceti 4 and the Marathon ship in orbit. Here is some nearly blind speculation to mix things up a bit. With the game being most likely built on a fork of the Tiger engine from Destiny 2, we might be able to learn a few things from its recent activities. In 2017, Bungie released the Forsaken expansion for Destiny 2, led by Christopher Barrett. Due to his recent bad press, I only bring him up because he was a key player in these events. For the following expansion, Shadowkeep, he was not involved with Destiny. This appears to be around the time he was moved to begin work on Marathon. Now in 2020, the Tiger engine went through an overhaul to be able to support new features and reduce technical debt. There were improvements made to the Bubble matchmaking system, which also introduced a bug where players' personal vehicle sparrows would not delete themselves on time. I believe this is no coincidence. As history has shown, during the development of Halo Reach and Destiny during 2009 to 2010, engine advancements were shared across teams and games, and a new feature being dynamic weather effects. What has Bungie shown off that they were working on technically in relation to the new Marathon? Open world matchmaking systems. Also, due to some of the concept art, I believe that they are planning on having that same dynamic weather system from Beyond Light to feature heavily in Marathon. Here's the concept art that very slightly supports this. Now, I am not going to pretend I am an extraction shooter fan or player, because I haven't really played them much myself. But what we do know is that Marathon will have different things to do when joining a game before extracting. The biggest and most exciting is going to be the ability to partake in worldwide events to explore new locations and unlock them for other players. This seems to be a mix of their lukewarmly received live events that had all of the Destiny players grinding to meet some goal together as a player base, the launch of a new location in the game, and the pinnacle achievement of Destiny, the world's first raid, that sees one team being immortalized in the community for completing the raid first. The second activity mentioned by Bungie would be acquiring loot and prime artifacts in the world to extract with. This part is out of my expertise, so I won't say too much more here. These next two possible pastimes in-game are both very much speculation and seem pretty straightforward, so I will talk about them now. The ARG that started at the time of the announcement in 2023 highlighted some new and returning factions, as well as introducing us to some AI characters that will most likely feature in the game in some shape or form. I believe they will be providing us with missions and tasks to complete while outrunning across the surface of Tau Ceti. The last thing for our activities discussion are bands of NPC enemies that could roam the locations of the game. I think the enemies will be placed in strategic locations around the world where they can roam and wreak havoc on the players trying to exfiltrate safely with their loot or recover an objective. It would be especially cool if they had some sort of camps that players could interact with and try to steal loot from. But nothing has been announced. This section on progression is also mostly speculation, but that's part of the fun, isn't it? What little we do know about the progression of your character is that you will pledge allegiance to one of the factions of the game and will probably earn some form of rewards through that avenue. There was also mention of implants for your biomotic character, but nobody really knows what that means at this time. Personally, I hope it's not some sort of magic or ability system a la Destiny, because I'm really craving for a new shooter with solid gunplay as its focus. Speaking of, we also know that there will be some sort of weapon customization system shown off briefly in the Vidoc. Outside of this, I imagine there will be some sort of global XP system and various currencies to earn. The last item adjacent to progression that we know about is that there will be leaderboards for various stats in the game. While we do not have much concrete knowledge on the game currently, I am cautiously optimistic of what Bungie can pull off, even amidst the recent layoffs and bad press. I'm predicting that we will get some sort of gameplay reveal within the next few months. You can learn about that in the video provided in the card on screen now. It appears things are starting to ramp up for Marathon, but only time will tell. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you stick around. Have a good day, and stay inspired.